Welcome to the Author Revolution podcast, where change is not just embraced, it's celebrated. I'm Carissa Andrews, international best-selling author, indie author coach, and your navigator through the ever-evolving landscape of authorship. Are you ready to harness the power of your mind and the latest innovations in technology for your writing journey? If you're passionate about manifesting your dreams and pioneering new writing frontiers, then you're in the perfect place. Here, we merge the mystical woo of writing with the exciting advancements of the modern world. We dive into the realms of mindset, manifestation, and the transformative magic that occurs when you believe in the impossible. We also venture into the world of futuristic technologies and strategies, preparing you for the next chapter in your author career. Every week, we explore new ways to revolutionize your writing and publishing experience. From AI to breakthrough thinking, this podcast is your gateway to a world where creativity meets innovation. Whether you're penning your first novel or expanding your literary empire, whether you're a devotee of the pen or a digital storyteller, this podcast is where your author revolution gains momentum. So join me in this journey to continue growth and transformation. It's time to redefine what it means to be an author in today's dynamic world. This is the Author Revolution podcast, and your author revolution starts now. Well, hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Author Revolution podcast. Oh, and I'm your host, Carissa Andrews. I don't say that enough. I realize that I go straight into this thing and I don't typically say who the heck I am or what I'm doing. And it's come to my attention that some of my listeners would really like to understand more about my life, about what I'm doing, about how certain aspects that I talk about on this show are impacting me and my life. And so that kind of brought me around to this particular podcast episode. Funnily enough, I recorded the entire thing. It was like 44 minutes, almost 44 minutes yesterday. And my computer decided at the very last minute to shut down in the middle of saving. Like I was literally had my fingers hovered over the save buttons and it shut down. I thought for sure it's going to save it. It's going to save it anyway, right? The universe is good. Well, obviously the universe must have thought I needed to reword it or something. I don't even know. So I'm taking a look at my list of things I want to talk about, and I've decided to shift them around a little bit in the hopes that this is going to flow a little bit better. This is going to be more what you're looking for or wanting to hear from me. And then I'll give you a few more insights and tips afterwards. So originally, when I was doing this yesterday, I was giving you some insights on what's happened since I recorded episode 226, where I was talking about how I'm going to meditate every day and take action on any of the inspired hits that come from that particular day's meditation, right? I want to experiment with how this flow gets to work for me, how all of this stuff, how the universe gets to work for me. And I teach this to authors on a very intimate level. And so for me to teach it without truly tapping into it feels like disingenuous, right? And so for me, I'm living this every day. I'm writing about it. I am reading about it. I am watching TikToks and YouTube videos and bigger videos like from people I admire myself. And I'm going deeper into all of this stuff so that I can understand this in a much bigger, broader perspective. And so today I want to talk about some of the big things that came about through the past about 5 months of doing meditations every single day. So far, I have not missed a single day, and that includes when my mother-in-law and brother-in-law were here. I still went upstairs every day, did my meditation quick, and came downstairs after my workout was done too. And so I feel pretty good that I was able to maintain that level of commitment to myself, that level of commitment to my spiritual journey, and just kind of keep going forward, right? So originally, I gave you kind of just a sequential list of some of the bigger things that happened during the past 5 months. And when I look through this list, there's a lot. There's an actual lot of things that have come through my meditations that I've taken action on, that I've done, that you've probably seen me do. Maybe you've known that it was a meditative hit. Maybe you don't. But I'm going to touch on some of the really big ones, the ones that to me speak to a level of manifestation that if you're trying to change your world, change your life, have something new or big come through, these are kind of the big boulders that happened throughout this process so far. And my goal is really to kind of keep you updated because I don't plan on stopping, right? I don't plan on this being like a one and done thing. I'm going to be doing this continually because I feel like it's a part of my process. It's now a part of what makes me me and what I really like to experience in this reality. Okay. So, one of the big things that came up almost right away, there's two. One was I ended up joining Jen Sincero's 8 Weeks to Badass. It's like a course with like 4 group coaching things. And I signed up because of just like this nudge that happened on my anniversary. So, on February 21st, Colin and I went to a Barnes Noble in Duluth, which is like 2 hours away. So, of course, on our anniversary, when we leave the area, we're going to go to, a bookstore. But that's what we did. Went to the bookstore and I got Jen Sincero's You're a Badass, right? And I read it almost immediately. I felt like there was this draw to it. I didn't know what. And so I read the book pretty quickly. Ended up reading You're a Badass at Making Money immediately after that. And I just felt this connection to her. Like there was some reason I needed to look and see if she had some sort of group coaching or something. It just felt aligned, right? Sure enough, when I went to her website, when I went on there, she was starting a group coaching thing in like, I don't know, 3 weeks or something. It was like so close. And it started on my brother Scott's birthday. And Scott was the one with the brain tumor, the one who passed away when he was 35. So I felt it was very much like aligned. It was guidance, right? I was meant to be there even though I wasn't fully sure why. I just trusted the nudge. And it was coming through a lot through meditation that I needed to figure out a way to manifest the money to go to this thing, right? Well, I did it and manifested the money. I joined in April. So April 8th, I joined and we started everything. She has these Zoom calls, right? That like kind of like what I do, where people can then ask questions for an hour and a half. And in the first session, I knew pretty quickly that there was nothing I really needed to ask her because I understood her process. The course was pretty self-explanatory, like nothing was standing out. I teach manifestation, so I just felt like I needed to be in her vibe, right? So I was answering questions in the chat and I was just happily doing that. I had no intention whatsoever of asking her anything on one of these calls. However, the next day, my meditation process told me something different. It's like it was a very clear, guided insight where I saw myself picking up that book. I saw myself reading the book. I saw myself making the decision to join her course. And it was all connected because I was meant to ask her on one of the calls to join the Author Revolution podcast and talk with me. And I was like, wait, what? What now? That was not on the radar, but all right. So because it came through, it was very loud and clear. Uh, I was basically told the answer's already yes, so don't panic about it. But I was still panicking anyway because that's just not my MO, I guess. Like I don't typically reach out to people and like hunt them down in that way. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm doing this thing. I guess I'm gonna ask Jen to come on the podcast. Can I do it through email or like through the Facebook group? And it was a very hard no. Like my guides, my higher self, my subconscious, however you want to describe it, was a very hard pass. Like, you are going to do this live. There's a reason for it. All right. So then the next call, I raised my hand. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do it terror sighted, right? I'm terrified and excited at the same time. And I was like 3 away from being picked when the call ended. And I was like, oh, no, now I have to wait 2 more weeks before I can ask this question. Now remember, this had happened the day after the last call, so this was already 2 weeks. By the time I got to ask the question, it had been a month of sitting in the back of my mind knowing I had to do this thing. So the third call, I hop in, I have my hand raised. I think I'm like 5 in, and I get to ask her live on this call, like, here's the situation, here's what's happened. Will you come on the Author Revolution podcast and chat with me about being a badass? And she was like, can you send me some details about it? Like, you've got our email address, right? Yes, I do. Okay, great. I will do that. So it wasn't a yes and it wasn't a no, but it was just like a send me the details so I can decide kind of thing, right? So I sent the email and nothing happened. Like, nothing happened. It was quiet. It was zero. Nothing was going on. A week later, I decided to kind of just rewatch and make sure, like, what did she say? Like, did she say a specific email? And she actually did. She said I sent it to her team email and she wanted it to support. I was like, oh, okay. So resend it to support, make sure it goes to the right email at least, and then just say, hey, I sent it to the wrong email address. Sorry about that. Enjoy. So I sent the second time the email, and at that point, there was just kind of like a calm that kind of came over me. It's like I had done my part. There was nothing else I had to do. And even if she didn't answer, even if she answered no, it felt to me like I had done my part. Maybe the biggest part of it was getting over myself and asking the question, being able to go outside of what I would normally do to ask the question. And so what happened then was time went by, more time went by, more time went by. It wasn't until June 6th, that's my grandma's birthday, and she's been passed now for a couple of years. So I feel like it's very like guidance, right? My anniversary, my dead brother's birthday, my dead grandma's birthday. There's something going on here. I was in a meditation. I was doing one of Joe Dispenza's meditations actually at the time. It was a heart mind coherence one. And all of a sudden, when I came out of that meditation, she had signed up and I could see the notification on my Calendly app. No email, like no, yay, I'm excited, nothing. Just she signed up. And so now Jen Sincero is coming on the Author Revolution podcast. How exciting is that, guys? This was all because of an inspired nudge that came from this particular process, this experiment that I'm doing. So that was right away in the beginning, like right when I decided to make this new thing happen, the nudges were coming through for this particular thing. And it was kind of coinciding at the same time with Author Nation because I knew I wanted to speak at Author Nation. I knew that they hadn't picked their speakers yet. I had put in my application whenever they had opened applications. I think by this point, they had closed the applications and they were sifting through all the people. But I knew I wanted to be one of the speakers to go to this place, right? But I kept getting nudges where it's like, you're going. So just sign up, just get your ticket so you can stop worrying about it. Stop worrying whether or not they're going to say yes or no, because the answer is already yes. But if it makes you feel better, get your tickets now, right? And so I manifested the money for the tickets. I manifested the money for the booth that I want to have. And I have an ad that's going to go in the program. I manifested like all the things in place. I got the tickets. I signed up. I got our hotel room and dropped it. Like I let go of it. So then later on, as they started announcing speakers, guess who is going to be a speaker at Author Nation? Yes, that's right. I got chosen. I get to speak about manifestation, about quantum physics at Author Nation's inaugural conference. So how wicked is that, right? And I was holding the vibe, locking in the vibe of it's already done. The answer's already yes. So I don't need to obsess over it. I just need to trust that it's mine, that it's here, let it go, right? My keyword of the year, let it go. So that's what I did, and it came through. Now, some of the other big things that ended up happening throughout the process of meditating were I got the inspired hit to create a mastermind. And it's an 8-week mastermind, kind of based off of Lynn McTaggart's Intention Experiment and her Power of 8 book. So if you've ever listened to or heard about Lynn McTaggart, we created a mastermind and that launched. It's over now where the 8 weeks are over, but we're literally today having the first monthly session where we're having a monthly meeting until we relaunch it again in September. And so what happened was these 8 amazing women all came together. We had this situation, this group where we are basically taking 2 hours out of our day, and it was happening every week. So we had a Tuesday call every week where each of us have an intention that we want fulfilled, right? And at the time, it was elevation. It was getting Jen on the podcast was one of them. Being able to go to the Author Nation as a speaker was one of them. Like we were intending a lot of this stuff at the same time before they came to pass. Once obviously they started becoming into my awareness. And so for me, those were some of the things that we intended. And so each person would have an intention. And then the 8 of us would focus for 6 to 10 minutes, depending on how much time we had on that person's intention. And we deliver any messages that came through, like things that, we might have seen, might have heard, might have experienced through our meditation for that person. So we gave our psychic impressions, for lack of a better word. And then the next person would go and we'd intend for them. And then we'd go all the way around the room until all 8 of us had been intended for. And the reason that's so powerful is because it next levels the intention experiment, right? When you're intending for yourself, you have power. You're so powerful. But when you have a group doing it at the same time and all intending on the same thing, that's some next level shit. That's some really powerful stuff. And that's why the mastermind came, it was like an add-on or an addition to Millionaire Author Manifestation. And so originally we were calling it Millionaire Author Manifestation Mastermind, but it gets to be a bit of a mouthful and gets a little confusing for people who are new. So we decided to transition it and call it the Circle of Eight. And what ended up happening throughout this process was I got hits originally just bring this group in. The right people are going to come. It's going to be amazing. So we have the Circle of Eight is 8 people. And it's kind of funny because, like I said, it was based off of The Power of Eight from Lynn McTaggart. And I got the hit later on that this is actually the founders group. Like these people, we're not going to just drop the people who are here. The next time they're still involved, but yet when we bring in the next cohort in September, now we're going to start branching out because what we're trying to do is elevate not just the author community, but you guys are all authors. So you're coming to me because you're authors, but we're trying to elevate the vibration of the world. This is a much bigger, broader reasoning behind it. You know what I mean? And so we're going to be doing it again come September. So if you're interested, if it sounds interesting, just like keep your ear out. We'll be sending more information later. But also during this, like I had inspired hits to create the audiobook course. It's been on my mind for a while. I have had a couple of students ask about the audiobook course. I got the green light in my head, created that. I started developing the content in the course, like information for it. Obviously, that's kicking off next week. So June 24th, if you haven't enrolled yet, we are kicking off Own Voice Audiobooks, which is my audiobook course on how to self-narrate your own audiobooks and then master, produce, market, all of the things. I also have the AI version. So it's AI Voicecraft, which is going to be like an add-on. You can only get that if you are enrolled in Own Voice though, because it's going to build off of the information that you're learning in the initial course. And so all of that kind of came together. The quantum manifestation connection, that all came together. It was like I had a session where all of a sudden I was kind of channeling someone who was very much connecting the dots of all the quantum overlays for the steps of manifestation as I teach it. So I have a brother he's always been kind of the sciencey nerd of the family. He's my youngest brother. So there was the 3 of us. It was me and my 2 brothers. And he's the one that, he always was very smart. He still is. He's still alive. He's very smart. And so he went into physics, but he was an atheist. I don't know if he still is an atheist. I haven't really talked to him about religion in a while, but physics-wise, we would have some really deep and interesting conversations. And so in the meditation, it made sense that I could speak the language, or if I was channeling someone, I could understand the connections that were happening. And so that day, literally, much like when I learned about Jen, and the reason why I was drawn to Jen at that time, I saw the overlays very clearly of how they are all like a part of each other and how I can describe to skeptics who are a little bit, like manifestation, woo woo, I wanted to be able to explain why this is actually a thing and how they can tap into it or think about it in a different way that can help them bring their manifestations into reality. And so that was really cool. And obviously, we just had the quantum manifestation masterclass that was last Friday, and it was amazing. There were so many great questions at the end. It was brilliant. It went off brilliantly. So if you're interested in checking that out, it'll be in the show notes. A lot of this stuff I'll put in the show notes. So if you are interested, if you're like, oh, I'd like to go back and check that out because I missed it, it'll be there. So you can double check everything. So quantum manifestation became a thing. Let's see, what else? The Hits Different Short Stories Award. That was another thing that came through with the meditations. So I got this nudge, this hit that we're going to create an award thing for Author Revolution. And I was like, oh, we are, huh? We're going to do like a contest thing? Awards? All right. What is it going to be? And they gave me the title, or I received the title, downloaded the title, however you want to describe it, first. And it was the Hits Different Short Story Awards for Author Revolution. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I like the title. What's it about though? Like, how is this going to work? And in essence, what I received was, okay, you're going to have a short story contest. Yes, but it's going to hit different. It's going to happen different. People are going to sign up differently. And the way that they're going to do it is they're going to sign up to write their short story, but then they have to meditate on it. They have to wait for the hit from the universe on what to write. So they're going to meditate every day about this contest. And once they receive the inspired hit of what to write, that's when they start to write. So if you're interested in doing something a little bit more of an experimentation and you want to try this experiment with me, sign up. It's like $33. We have first, second, and third place prizes. So check it out. I will also have that in the show notes as well. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see what kind of hits people are getting, what kind of stories come because of it. It's going to be amazing. And when you think to the stories that really got you excited, more often than not, more than likely even, they were probably an inspired hit. I know that was the case with Pendamis. I wasn't even initially sure I wanted to write stories. I was writing something that my best friend had told me. She's like, I really want a ghost love story. And so I was kind of starting that process. I was figuring out what I wanted to write with it. And then the entire world of Pendamis landed in my head. I didn't do it. It downloaded to me. And so it's that kind of process, right? So if you're interested in it, definitely check out the show notes so that you can find the Hits Different short story awards, because you can get first, second, third place prizes. We will have not only monetary awards, but also certificates that are going to go out with it as well. It goes all summer. So you have all summer to download your information to write your short story. It doesn't have to be long, like 2,000 to 5,000 words, I think is what we put down. And so it's nothing that has to be huge. It just needs to come through based off of one of your hits. And the idea here, again, it's bigger, broader, right? It's to tap into something bigger than yourself in order to be your most creative, authentic self. And so I don't want people who just want to write a short story and win some money. I want a short story that was inspired, that was downloaded, that was coming from your true core self, that was from your higher self. I want something really powerful. And I want you to build that connection to yourself through your own meditative practice. So that's where this is coming from. Okay, so other little things that really came through, honestly, are things like, your future self. We've got this Mind Magic membership where every month we're creating kind of like mind magic workouts. Tammy and I are doing meditations or hypnoses based on a certain theme, and we're dropping new meditations, new hypnoses every single day. Well, we've got something like 8 programs now that are inside this one membership, and it's only $13 and you get a free week to sign up and join. But I've been basically guided to increase the price. So I'm probably going to do it starting in August. I haven't changed anything yet. So if you're interested in getting in and you want to lock in the price at $13, now's definitely the time to do it, because it will be going up to $25 with that 1 week free trial. So there's that. A lot of the themes that were coming through too, I was getting themes like, obviously, let go, let go, trust the process, trust that this is working, make different decisions, make different ideas, come up with new things to work with. I got a couple of really cool hits on how to use ChatGPT, 2 of which I'm going to start incorporating as masterclasses coming up soon. So next month's masterclass is actually coming as a hit that I did for myself. And then I had students who were like, oh my gosh, that should be a masterclass because I want to know. I was speaking with a woman, her name is JJ, and she's going to be on the podcast. So we were having a podcast interview, and she works with people to uncover their core wounds. And so it got me curious, right? Core wounds are really fascinating. They're kind of like uncovering blocks, except it's not really a block. It's really just the way your brain processes information based off of a situation or something that happened in the past. And so it's just like the next logical steps based off of that decision point, right? And so it's not really a block. It's just that if you're not receiving what you want, you need to shift your energy. So I was curious. I started using ChatGPT to ask me questions, almost as a discovery system, to find out if I have any core wounds. And it was very, very detailed, very descriptive. It helped me to understand certain parts of myself that I hadn't even given much thought to. And so what has happened because of that is I'm showing up differently. I am looking at how I'm processing or coming about things differently. And in the coming weeks and months and years, I'm going to be a different person because I now understand this part of it, which is super interesting. And I would never have thought to do this until that conversation with JJ. So at any rate, that's coming. We've got another one where I use ChatGPT to create a publicist. and I'm pitching to like large sites. I'm doing a lot of public outreach. One of the big things, big things I want to do for Author Revolution this year is create more visibility. And so perhaps that's why Author Nation, perhaps that's why Jen Sincero, perhaps that's why all these extra programs that I've been doing and memberships and all the things that are coming out. It's like I'm pulling a lot of interesting new things into the mix of what Author Revolution is and does, but it also feels more elevated. It also feels like it's like next level society elevation vibrationally, right? And so there's so many different little things that I've done. One of the really interesting things that came about too, I don't know if you know much about HRV, but your heart rate variability is an indicator of stress, of heart health, of whether or not you are in energetic alignment, honestly. And my HRV has never been high, but it's never been like super low. It's always kind of been in like a, oh, you're kind of stressed. You probably want to spend more time chilling the fuck out, right? And I'm like, but I can't. I love all the things I'm doing. But what was interesting was when I started doing this, right around April, I would say, my heart rate variability score, because it's tracked on both my watch and my bed. So we have a Sleep Number bed, and it will let me know like heart rate variability. And what's been interesting is that it's elevated. It's gone up, which is great because the higher the HRV number, the more aligned, the more balanced, the more secure, whatever you are, the less cortisol you have in your body, all the things. And so that was like a really interesting physiological situation observation that I had that I wasn't even anticipating seeing. It wasn't on my radar. It wasn't something I was trying to uncover or do or anything like that. But I found it really fascinating that that was something that was kind of like a byproduct of doing daily meditations. So guys, there's a lot more. Like I got insights and hits into my Write Your Reality book. That's going to be coming out as a Kickstarter. That came because of a meditation. I've changed covers for my one night stand club through a meditation process and kind of what I was receiving for hits there. There was just a lot of little things that every single day I was getting at least some little nudge. And if I had a day where there was not a whole lot that came through, it was typically still a very like vibrationally like relaxing situation. So I just took that as today I don't need to do a whole lot because I've just done 3 things yesterday and 6 things the day before that. And you know what I mean? And so I was allowed to have a day where I was just able to enjoy the energy, enjoy the meditation. So all of this to say, like this process has been really life changing. I have created new programs, I've created new connections, I have created new ideas. I mean, one of the cool things that I feel like is coming is that, and I've been told through meditations is coming, is that my connections are next leveling. So people who I deem as role models or maybe slightly above me right now, people like Jen Sincero, right? Or let's say Megan Quinn or Colleen Hoover, Amanda Francis, Gabby Bernstein, like some of these people who feel like they are next level above me visibility wise, not necessarily like understanding wise, but definitely visibility wise, they're going to end up becoming friends. And so as I embrace that new idea, it'll be interesting to see if that transpires, right? It'll be interesting to play around with the concept of like, how is this going to work? Is it going to work? What's going to happen from it? What kind of things are going to be coming out of it, right? And not in like I want to use this person, but like, what kind of cool conversations are we going to have? What things do they know that are not in my purview just yet? How would elevating to that level change the way I view the world? You know what I'm saying? And so the reason I'm putting this one out here is so that it can kind of be a placeholder, right? For the next time we do one of these reviews, one of these, this is what's been going on since I started this experiment kind of situation, because that's how it feels like things are moving. And I can hopefully at some time in the future look back at this episode and be like, guys, remember when I said that I was going to be friends with Jen Sincero? After that podcast interview we are now like in contact and we're doing the XYZ and it's amazing and I love her and she's like I mean I love her anyway. She's amazing and her personality and her like vibe is just great. So it'll be interesting and I want you to take this with you so that you understand as you're in the middle of manifesting whatever it is that you want, sometimes they're little steps, sometimes they're big steps, sometimes they come on your timeline, sometimes they come on the universe's timeline or Jensen Cheryl's timeline, right? So it's not always a no if you don't hear back right away. It's not always a no if you have to go through the process a little bit to get there. It's not always a no if things aren't instantaneous. Just because you're struggling at the moment doesn't mean it's going to happen your entire life. It just means that you're still trying to shift your energy. You're still trying to alter the way you think. You're still adding tools to your toolbox. You are still elevating to the person you're meant to elevate into. And until the energies shift enough, until you can change that, you're going to keep kind of cycling through some of these repetitive lessons until it becomes and sinks in, right? Until it becomes known, until it becomes part of who you are, and then really becomes like that core operating system. So there you have it. Not quite as long as the last time I recorded this. So hopefully this one will hit different, right? Hit a little different, just like the short story words. And hopefully it made more sense this time too, because I was kind of going through the entire list. I was doing it in chronological order, and that kind of felt like I was bouncing around. So this time I kept everything very cohesive, and it feels better this way. So I feel like the universe is happy with it. All right. Guys, just so you're aware too, if you've ever got questions about how something is going, how things are changing, or if you hear something on one of the podcast episodes and you want more clarification, I am always around. And one of my favorite things to do is answer questions, because it feels like it not only taps into the part of me that really enjoys helping people, but it also concretizes it in my head. So it's self-serving in that regard as well. Like I'm able to really anchor it in and let it become a part of my awareness, my subconscious subroutines, like all the things. I'm able to just really tap into it. And that makes me happy. It makes me happy to help you. It makes me happy to help me. It makes me happy to know that all of it is elevating the world. So don't be shy. Feel free to reach out, ask questions in the Facebook group, ask questions on Instagram, like whatever. It doesn't matter where it is, and I will be happy to answer you. All right, guys, I am off to get ready and prepared to do this Circle of 8 June mastermind call. I'm very excited about that. We get to reunite after a couple of weeks being apart, and it's going to be fun to be a part of it again. It's going to be great. So for you guys, your journey, your process, your mission, should you choose to accept, is to consider, number one, is to join the Hits Different Short Story Awards if you want to start incorporating meditation into your daily practice. I think it would be really beneficial for you. Plus, you have the opportunity to win some cash. How cool is that? And then on top of it, I want you to just know that you're in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. So just follow your internal guidance, follow your nudges, and good things are going to come no matter what, right? Even if you're struggling, even if you're having a difficult time, all of that is teaching you something. And so, what is it teaching you? What can you learn from this? And how can you reframe it? How can you reframe it in a way that's going to put you as the badass on top, right? How can you reframe it so that you are the one that is taking shit and turning it into gold, as Amanda Francis says, right? Take it, run with it, and do some great, amazing, wonderful, phenomenal things. Because when you do, you go forth and start your author revolution.